Hi, good evening, folks. I'm sure it's been death by PowerPoint today, but but thanks a lot for having me. Really appreciate it. You know, one of the things that I absolutely love to do is really listen to these stories of absolute passion and courage that I just had the opportunity to listen to a few while I was sitting at the back. So first and foremost, I think, each one of you who's got startups, who's thinking about a startup, who's moving in that direction, you know what? Give yourselves a really, really big pat on the back, even if nobody else does, because it is a lonely journey. It is a tough journey. But, I had a boss once who told me, it's not the number of miles you've traveled, it's the quality of those miles. So I think, no matter what, every one of you is going to be a winner, because at the end of it, you're only going to gain in this whole game of life. I know I'm sounding very philosophical, but trust me, having been in this industry for about 30 years in the technology industry, when I was listening to Subhash up here, I was thinking to myself, wow, I started my career here in Bangalore in 1985, and in the IT industry. It wasn't an industry then. It was just a bunch of people who had IBM PC XTs and PC 80s and whatnot, and you kind of you can see where it's going right now. And you guys are talking about stuff that is just amazing. It's really cool. So hats off to you all. Having said that, I came here with a thought that maybe I could talk to you guys about two different things. One which may be exciting to you, which is really around the technology dimension of what we're doing, of what Oracle is doing, and especially with the story around the cloud. And the second part to that was really got to do with our startup cloud accelerator. So while I was sitting in the back, I was debating in my mind. I said, you know what, do I want to come up here and sound like a sales guy and tell you guys about the Oracle Cloud, which, by the way, that's what I'm working on right now, is one dimension of the cloud. And I can tell you that is very exciting in and of itself. But instead, I thought I'd just switch gears and let's just talk about what is something that could be very near and dear to each and every one of your hearts. And that's the Startup Cloud Accelerator. As I was saying earlier, and what I've heard from every one of you, and even the panel discussion that you had, is that this journey is pretty much long and lonely. You got to have passion. You got to have drive. You got to have commitment. You got to deal with all those naysayers. So the environment isn't necessarily extremely conducive for somebody to come out here and actually be successful. So one of the things that we wanted to do at Oracle was to say, hey, how can we take some of that stuff away, some of those pain points away from the entrepreneur, and have the entrepreneur instead focus on what is critical to them, which is actually build their product, figure out how to go to market, make things work, have the infrastructure taken care of, and especially in the technology space. So that's what we did. So essentially, excuse me, what we did is we launched our Startup Cloud Accelerator very recently, and the goal is that we want to get to about 9 of these around the country. And what's cool about this is we're not turning around and telling you that, you know what, guys, you have to use the Oracle platform. You have to use Oracle products. No. It truly is a startup accelerator. It's a startup accelerator, but the infrastructure is provided to you on the cloud. There is a physical infrastructure and there's a computing infrastructure. And the computing infrastructure is all on the cloud, and there's really good, really nice physical infrastructure as well. So you get an office space, you get, you get a whole bunch of stuff. The first cohort we just started in June. The typical engagement runs for about 5 months, 5 to 6 months. During that period, you get, there's a selection process, there's an entire process that you have to go through. But at the end of that, for that 5 months, you get a completely dedicated set of resources, both from a technology perspective, a mentoring perspective, and an exposure perspective, as well as an access to the Oracle ecosystem, which then enables you to actually take your product and talk about it. So in fact, I'm mentoring a couple of startups within this accelerator. As you can see, this is what we have. You get cloud credits with free access. You get a global connect with including Oracle Open World, and Open World is coming up in September. facilities, there's a customized curriculum, investor connects. So we get the whole 9 yards and mentoring, significant mentoring, within the Startup Cloud Accelerator. We have a full-time, so this is some of the stuff that we offer you, right? There's immersive mentoring that takes place, and I think, listening to the panelists up there and listening to Subhash, I've mentored a number of startups in my previous life. And one of the things I can tell you is that, a mentor, I'm going to use the word mentee, though there's no such word, but a mentor-mentee relationship it's almost like a sacred trust. So it was interesting to hear, I think Ravi, was it, from MedInfy? Yeah. So it was very interesting to see how he was looking at it and how he's been through his journey of mentors in his first go-around who were not necessarily fully invested, but here he's trying to get the alignment either financially or at a very, either an emotional or a rational level. And I think that's something that you get, that's going to be critical for anybody in the startup journey. It's a huge, huge dimension because, as I was saying earlier, it's a lonely journey. There's nobody else who can really understand what you're going through. So to have a mentor or a set of mentors that you can turn to at any given point in time is really cool. So, there's a mentor in residence, and there's a complete mentoring backup that's provided both in-house within Oracle as well as from industry experts. Besides that, you get access to Oracle's own marketing and sales engines. So in fact, one of the startups that I'm mentoring right now, obviously I can't share what it is, but they are now getting a connect with our SaaS products and we're actually looking at figuring out how we can integrate their solution into the SaaS products and go to market together. So that's some pretty interesting and exciting developments that take place. So essentially, from a process perspective, this is what we really do. Okay, so there's an online application that you guys, whoever is interested gets to fill out. There's a rating and a selection process, and there's a board that we've got who are, industry stalwarts, investors, venture capitalists, angels, the whole 9 yards, and I'll share with you who they are. They really go through and decide who are the ones who are going to make it into that cohort. And then finally, there's a complete selection process that we go through, and then there's a post-selection, there's curriculum, there's informal interactions, there's social media, so, the whole, it's a complete package. So what winds up happening through this whole thing is that, if you notice, there's personnel fully dedicated to OSCA. That's the Oracle Startup Accelerator, all right? And that's a full-time set of resources that you always have access to. In addition to that, you've got the technology enablers which are also provided. So right from the cloud computing infrastructure, all the way backwards into, teleconferencing. I was listening to, I think that was you, sir, who brought up this whole thing of, VSNL and the video conferencing, right? So now we've got, all that is available to anybody in the startup space, in the accelerator. Please go visit our website. It's right there. It's oracle.com/in/startup. And I really think, I was instrumental with Sanket in getting this off the ground. And I got to say, the journey has been just absolutely fabulous. When I see the energy of having been in the corporate world as long as I have, and all of us who've been in the corporate world understand this, is sometimes you really need to step out of that zone. And when you start refreshing yourself with completely new ideas, completely new ways of thinking, and a willingness to not just take risks, it's really a state of mind. So for every one of you here who has that state of mind, where you want the ability to be able to focus on your business and your idea, I think OSCA is just one of those solutions that's able to take away some of that pain so that you can really focus on what you absolutely need to get done. And that's pretty much what I had. This is our advisory board that we've got right now. As you can see, some of them, I'm sure some of those names you would recognize. We also have a bunch of mentors, and most of them, if you see, all of them almost are from outside of Oracle. We also have a complete in-house Oracle mentoring group. I happen to be a part of that as well. So net, you have access to, so you want to talk to salespeople, you want to talk to marketing guys, you want to talk to product engineering guys. So one of the things, I lead the identity and security management portfolio in Oracle from a product engineering perspective. A couple of these startups who are now looking to really scale out their offerings are looking at, okay, how do I secure this whole thing? I forget now, we just had this print 24/7, right? And one of the things I know you're going to have a problem with is securitization. I mean, how are you going to secure it? That's going to be a huge, huge challenge you're going to face, and especially when you scale. So net, that's what we get you. Any questions? I also have a lot of information about the Oracle Cloud, but I don't think we'll share that over here unless you're interested in hearing about it. Any takers? None? Cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Bharath.
Thank you.